What Them Biceps Do. Written by Fairycrest. Read by Arashi. A feeble scholar. If anyone were to ask Alhaitham to describe himself, that would be the first thing the man would give out as a response. However straight the man's face is as he said it, would be the exact opposite of the face the people who asked him make when hearing his response. "Where?" was Lumine's first response when Alhaitham gave her the same answer. The usually sassy blonde would raise a brow at the scribe and his absent-mindedness to things.
"Paimon's asking that too,"
the floating creature also added in confusion.
"If you are such a feeble scholar, then what them biceps do, huh?"
the blonde asked. It was something akin to a joke. Lumine's mockery is something most people know as one of her love languages. Well, except when talking to Child. If not for Zhongli being the man's lover, she'd have cooked him by now. Of course, her words were just a joke. She didn't need these smart muscleheads' reasons as to why he's so everything but feeble. She clearly wasn't expecting to be dragged back to the man's home, where his wife, looking all confused, greeted her and her partner. The acting Grand Sage was eager to make the girls stay, even preparing another room for them, Kave's old room in particular, and he asked her to stay for a week. After that, he won't push for anything anymore. Confused as they may be, Paimon and Lumine agreed. Something fun is going to happen for free after all. Who are they to refuse? To Lumine's surprise, the two were arguing less than she thought. Kaveh welcomed them at home, and even continued to be their conversation buddy, since the man that dragged them was a quiet man. The blonde didn't mind. She got to see many things about the couple that most people can't just from looking at the two. How Kaveh would say something, and how Alhaitham would be quick to follow the architect's instructions. It still didn't answer Lumine's question, though. She knows it's probably from the man's constant battles outside Sumeru, but the idea of leading her back to his house now adds more questions than answers. Her eyes, however, dart towards the male blonde, who dons a soft smile as he makes shawarma in the kitchen. He must be involved, huh? Lumine didn't know she would find out the reason quite fast. It wasn't even as long as she thought it would take. It happened on her first night at the Grand Sage's house. Dinner smells amazing. Paimon is already drooling, and even Alhaitham stopped reading his books to just glance at the kitchen with a soft smile. "It'll be ready in a few." As Kaveh said that, the man turned around and presented a plate of delicious biryani, enough for all of them to share. A soup of each bowl was placed as well. As if rehearsed, Alhaitham stood from his seat and headed towards the male blonde. He grabbed the tray of food from his hand as he headed back to the two guests in the living room and placed the food there. The four ate dinner. Afterwards, the conversation drifted from jokes to intellectual discussions, and the arguments between the spouses would often start where it would, with smart conclusions from the two. When dinner was done, Lumine offered to wash the dishes, to which Kaveh rejected quite strongly. And before you know it, he was already in the kitchen washing away. It didn't last long, however. Kaveh's body leaned to the side, and he flopped down on the floor with a soft thud. Lumine and Paimon stood from their seats in panic. They rushed over to the man, but were halted when seeing the scribe, already over the sink with the blonde in his arms, the unconscious man gently being carried to their room. "Vertigo?" When the man was out, Lumine bombarded him with questions, from how Kaveh was doing to what just happened. "That bad?" "It wasn't that bad before," the scribe explained, rubbing his temples as he recalled the events of the past. Headaches were consistent, but not to the extent of him just having blackouts.
"Then what?"
Paimon trailed off, however, could not continue. "Maybe because I failed to see how bad it would be if I just trusted Kaveh's words of, 'It'll be fine.' I got complacent."
"So, when did it start?"
When he came back from the forest, Tainari called me over to explain that Kaveh blacked out twice in just a day. Since then, I couldn't leave him alone. The scribe let out a small, sad smile. I guess the Biceps serves its purpose now. Huh. True to his words, the Biceps did serve more than battle purpose. Kaveh would indeed have blackouts. Sometimes he'll just sit on the couch, and his body will start to lean, and he'd flop. Alhaitham would always be there to carry him back to his room. When eating, when just walking, when cooking, Kaveh would just drop. Lumine couldn't even compliment the scribe anymore for his arm muscles when all he does is carry an unconscious lover to bed. Every time the man did that, he looked very sad and in pain. His constant reminder for Kaveh to eat on time and drink medicine made Lumine and Paimon's heart ache. But every time they tried to bring up the topic to Alhaitham, the man would just look distant and state how he's got it all under control. And the man would reply just the same, Kaveh being fine is all I need. A week arrived, and the two would have to go. Kaveh made them cookies before they left, and Alhaitham walked them through the door. As they opened it, however, the forest ranger greeted them with a surprised look on his face. "Oh, you two are actually here." Tainari chuckled at the sight of two familiar faces.
Tainari, what are you here for?
Paimon asked as she twirled around the fox. "Oh, me?" The man dangled a potion in his gloved hand. "I came to deliver Kaveh's monthly maintenance. His illness will be gone in a little bit if he'd just be a good kid and get plenty of rest and stop moving around," the fox explained. "What about you two? What are you here for?" Lumine looks at Alhaitham before smiling brightly.
We came to know what Alhaitham does to have arm muscles.
"I mean, he's got a very pretty dumbbell right there." Tainari laughed off, which was answered with Alhaitham's sigh. "Sino's rubbing off on you." Tainari only shook his head and turned to the two that were ready to leave. "So, what do them Biceps do?"
To protect a wife from danger. To ensure a wife is tucked in warm blankets.
With an assured smile, Lumine and Paimon left Alhaitham's house. With such a husband, Kaveh would be just fine.